The UTEP Miners have been on a team on the up and up in Conference USA over the past couple of seasons. However, last year may not have gone according to plan, right? This was a UTEP team that struggled a little bit last year. They did lose a lot of talent from the season prior. Now entering 2023, there still is some more talent that is gone. However, a lot of it comes back. There are still a lot of nice pieces, especially offensively, to like about this team. And it's a UTEP team and a new look Conference USA that could take advantage of the sleeper role here in this conference. So will the UTEP Miners climb the ranks and be back towards the top of Conference USA this season? Or is this team still going to struggle and maybe fall even further than they did last season? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome to my channel. I am almost done previewing, predicting, analyzing all 133 FBS level college football teams. Please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell so you can also hear my thoughts during the season as well. But there are more ways than that. You guys can help me support my channel. You're doing one right now by watching the video, and you can do more by liking, commenting, sharing, and anything else you guys may be willing and able to do to help me support my channel, because whatever you guys do means a lot to me. So, again, I say this before almost every video start, but thank you seriously so much for the support on the channel. You guys have no idea. It means so much to me. So thank you so much. Now, let's talk about the UTEP Miners here in 2023. But we got to know how we do things around here. We are going to go through an overview and look at who the team lost, who's coming back, and who's coming in through the transfer portal and recruiting class, as well as taking a look at the 2023 Miner football schedule, and we'll give it a game-by-game preview and prediction. So without further ado, let's start out with the quarterback position. Now, there are other quarterbacks that I could have mentioned and put up on this board, but the only one that I felt deserved mention was Gavin Hardison, a true veteran, and maybe did not have his best season last year, but when he plays his best, we know what kind of quarterback he can be. He can be a very, very good weapon for UTEP at the quarterback position. He will be the starter for this team entering 2023, but last year, 2,044 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions on around 52% completion percentage. However, the season prior, he did have over 3,000 passing yards. Now, when I take a look at Gavin Hardison, that's definitely a player and a guy that's going to need to improve that touchdown to interception ratio. That's going to have to happen. But Gavin Hardison can get the yards. He can make the throws. He's going to be a really good weapon for UTEP this season. Now, your running back room. You do lose a couple really key players, one of them being Ronald Awatt, your leading rusher from last season, 734 yards and 2 touchdowns last season. So losing him is a big, big deal for this UTEP Miner team. You're also going to lose a guy by the name of Reynaldo Flores, who averaged 7.3 yards per carry last year, 276 yards and 5 touchdowns for the team last season. However, you do get a solid returner back in this running back room. His name is Dion Hankins, 701 yards, 3 touchdowns, and averaged around a half yard more per carry than what Ronald Awatt did. So I still feel like this running back room is in good hands, and you have some transfers coming over to help give it a boost as well. Mike Franklin and Darian Treesh, I believe I said that last name right, but if I didn't, feel free to correct me down in the comment section below. Franklin and Treesh going to be solid options in the running back room for this team as well. Now, there was a little bit of confusion on whether or not Tyron Smith was going to end up being a UTEP Miner, as there was a period in time where he was going to transfer to Texas A&M. However, he recommitted. He came back to UTEP's wide open arms, and he will be the #1 guy for UTEP this season, as he was last year. 1,039 yards and 7 touchdowns on 71 catches. You also are going to have a lot of depth in this wide receiver room, and I will say this last name wrong, Kelly Akarai, Jeremiah Ballard, and Marcus Bellin, all of which come back. You also do get some transfers coming in. Most notably is Dre Spriggs, but you also get Giovanni Gardere into this program as well. And Spriggs is a transfer coming over from UTSA. That should give a boost to this wide receiver room, just give it a little bit more added depth. Trent Thompson and Luke Soto are gone off from this program, so Zach Fryer comes back. And then you have a couple transfers coming in, and Judah Azinwa and Marcus Vincent to help boost the tight end room. There is a notable loss on the offensive line. It's Jeremiah Byers, but you do return most everyone else. Andrew Meyer, Zuri Henry, Stephen Hubbard, and Elijah Klein, among many others, will return to the offensive line for UTEP. So if Gavin Hardison can find his 2021 groove, and Deion Hankins is a sure fill-in for Ronald Watt, which I feel like he can be, this is a UTEP Miner offense that's going to give anyone trouble in Conference USA this season. But now let's look at the defense, because this is the side of the ball that UTEP is going to have to significantly improve, and now it's got to fill some major holes. As we take a look at the defensive line, starting out with Jadrian Taylor, 9.5 sacks for the team last season, 42 tackles, was a top 10 tackler on this team, as was Kelton Moss, 33 tackles, a sack and a half for him last year. And then Blake Thompson was another very, very solid piece that's going to be leaving this defensive line. However, you do get, according to the NFL mock draft database, what could be a UDFA free agent signing coming in 2024. It's Praise Amaywool. He is going to be coming back, only 23 tackles and 2 sacks last year, but I feel like he's a much better player than what his stat line shows. Keenan Stewart is also coming back to this team, as well as Brighton Thompson, and a name that's not on the board. You get the defensive end Westmoreland back as well. Linebacker-wise, there is a significant notable loss here, as well as 8 sacks, so second on the team last year, and 95 tackles for Cal Wallerstedt. He is going to be gone off of this team. However, you do get a lot coming back to this linebacker room. Tyrus Knight, 97 tackles, led the team last year, did have an interception last season as well. James Neal, Jerome Wilson were some depth pieces that come back, and then Kenny Bird is a transfer to give this room some depth. And when you take a look at the defensive back room, not a whole lot gone here, but again, you do lose a lot of quality, as Tyreek James, 51 tackles, was a top 5 tackler on this team last year, as was Dennis Barnes. So you do lose 2 top 5 tacklers. Barnes tied for the team lead with 6 passes defended last season. So you still do lose talent, but there is a lot more coming back in the secondary than in other positions. Kobe Hilton had 91 tackles last season. Latrez Shelton is coming back as well. You also have Elijah Johnson, who led the team with 2 interceptions last year, and then Josiah Allen coming back as well as some transfers, Jaleel Williams Evans and AJ Odoms. Odoms is a former 2-star out of high school transfer coming over from the New Mexico Lobos. Your head coach is Dana DeMel, offensive coordinator Scotty O'Hara, and your defensive coordinator Bradley Dale Pavetto is now we take a look at the UTEP Miner football schedule. When my slide changes, there it goes. All right, hey, any game at home is going to be underlined, while any game on the road will be in italics or that slanted text. Any game you see in green is a game that I think the Miners are going to be able to win easily. Any game in yellow is a back and forth 50-50 type game, but the Miners are going to be able to win, and red is a loss. You start out with a week 0 game on the road against a new team, not only to Conference USA, but to the FBS level as a whole. It's going to be a tough game, though, for UTEP to go on the road and beat Jacksonville State. The Gamecocks were one of the better teams in the FCS ranks last season. That is a team that has some really, really good talent on it. There are some good pieces offensively, good pieces defensively, but I feel like the experience and returning production on this offensive end, and of course the experience of Gavin Hardison, will lead UTEP to a win here over Jacksonville State in week 0. I think it's going to be a very close, very tight-knit game, going to be a very interesting game to watch. If Jacksonville State pulls out the win, do not be surprised, but I do have UTEP being able to pull that one out, as the Miners will be winning that game. All right, then you get a home game against Incarnate Word. Hey, they were one of the 4 teams left in the FCS playoffs last year. However, you lost your head coach, a ton of other talent on that team, and UTEP, I believe, will be able to win that game there against Incarnate Word. You have a couple Power 5 programs up next, and while I think this team is capable of beating Northwestern, especially all that returns for this UTEP team, I think the talent discrepancy is going to be just a little bit too much. I know Northwestern had the whole falling out with Pat Fitzgerald and all the allegations, and you had some additional players transfer, but I still feel like there's going to be enough on this Northwestern team to get past the UTEP Miners, especially with the way that UTEP's defense has got to fill some holes and just improve as a whole. So while that is going to be a very close, tight-knit game, I do see UTEP dropping that one, and then for sure I do have them losing to the Arizona Wildcats here in 2023. Arizona is a team that I really like out of the Pac-12 conference. Jaden DeLora is coming back to be that quarterback. He's got a lot of weapons around him, running back, wide receiver, the defense. While it is losing some key transfers, I think has a lot of nice pieces on it. It's going to have to step up and play really well. But Arizona, again, is a team that I really like out of the Pac-12 this year. That'll be a loss for the UTEP Miners. All right, you now have a Week 4 game, a home game against UNLV, University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Hey, this is a team that is looking to get into a bowl game this year after really just barely missing out on a bowl game in 2023. They started the season out really well and ended the season not so well. So for the UNLV Rebels, they do have a lot of nice pieces coming back, and they're going to be very competitive this year. I think this is going to be a very close back and forth, really gritty game. But I do think UNLV will just be a little bit too much. I do believe that the style of football that they're going to end up playing this year will be well equipped to handle what UTEP is going to be able to throw at you. So I do think UNLV will be winning that game there in Week 4. All right, now let's talk about more games in Conference USA. You get a game against a familiar opponent out of Conference USA in the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. And I think the Bulldogs are going to be a very good offensive unit this year. For as much that has to be replaced and as much that has to improve about this UTEP defense, I do think that Louisiana Tech is going to be pretty good, especially offensively. There is a ton of returning talent coming back. Hank Bachmeier is the quarterback that is entering that program. They're going to be a very, very talented offensive unit. And yes, while the defense did lose some key pieces, I still really like what's on that side of the ball. So Louisiana Tech will be a loss for the UTEP Miners. However, you got 2 winnable games coming up here after your bye week to start off the second half of your schedule. On the road against FIU, I think is going to be a win. Now, the Panthers may end up keeping this one close, but I do not think they're going to walk away with really any win in Conference USA this year. I know, spoiler alert, I'm so sorry, but FIU is just a team that I'm not real confident in entering 2023. They lost a ton of talent through the transfer portal and just not a team, again, that I'm confident in. So UTEP will win that one. I also have them beating New Mexico State here as well. With all the experience and all the talent that returns for this UTEP team on the offensive end, New Mexico State, much like UTEP and a lot of other teams in Conference USA, has to replace a lot of very key defensive pieces. And I feel like UTEP is going to be able to step up. The Miners are going to do what it needs. The Miners are going to do what it takes to beat the New Mexico State Aggies there at home. So I do have that as a win for UTEP in 2023. And then you got to go on the road to play Sam Houston State. The Bearcats are a new team to the FBS ranks. They are coming off the FCS. Hey, they do have an FCS title in 2020. Usually have been a pretty solid team in the FCS ranks, and there are a lot of good players on both sides of the ball for that team. But Jacksonville State may end up being the more competitive of the two. Don't be surprised if Sam Houston State is competitive as well, but I do not think that don't be surprised if Sam Houston State ends up being competitive as well here. And I just don't think that the Miners are going to be ready for this one on the road against a team that you may not know a whole lot about, but there are a lot of great players on that Sam Houston State team, and they know what it takes to be competitive, to win these tight football games. I think this one is going to be. So I do have that as a win for Sam Houston, which means it's a loss for the UTEP Miners. And then these last 3 games of the year, good luck to the UTEP Miners to win any one of these. You got a home game against Western Kentucky that I do think you're going to lose. For as much as you lose defensively, Western Kentucky has one of, if not the most dynamic offense Conference USA will see. In fact, I am going to call it the most dynamic offense Conference USA will see this season, with Austin Reed, a lot of other talent there, even some really good pieces on defense come back for that team as well. So I do have that as a loss for UTEP there. But you do get a pretty late bye week here because you were a team that played in week 0. So you do get a little extra time to go on the road and prepare for Middle Tennessee State. However, for as much experience and talent returns on this offense for UTEP, I think especially by this point, Middle Tennessee has a lot of experience coming back offensively, has a lot of experience coming back defensively. Now, offensively for this Middle Tennessee State team, you did lose a lot, but by this point in the year, they're going to be able to get rolling. They're going to be able to put up points, and that'll be a loss for the UTEP Miners. And then Liberty's also going to be one of the best teams in Conference USA this year for as much talent as leaves that program. There's a lot of talent coming in. Jamie Chadwell is a coach that's proven it at Coastal Carolina. He'll be a really good fit there at Liberty. So I do have 4-8. Maybe a little bit of a disappointing year for the UTEP Miners. That defense has got to get better, and the offense, even for as much as it returns, I'd like to see improve a little bit as well. But 4-8 is where I got the Miners. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. See you guys in the next video.